No, it was called the Nest because Norwich City were the Canaries.
So which came first, the Canaries or the Nest? Because
Well,
they weren't.
The Nest must come first because that's where they lay the eggs, don't they?
Yeah.
So what was the Nest like?
Well,
I remember that.
it was absolutely ridiculous, really. It was never a football pitch.
Right, it was quite small, was it?
It was small, but it had been built in a chalk pit, as that's why they call it the Nest, you see, because it was...
Yes.
I remember going down to the ground one morning and we couldn't train because there was a 20-foot hole in the pitch, which had collapsed during the night.
There was houses along Rosary Road, so people could sit in the bedroom or on the windowsills and watch the match.
See, when I was a kid, I used to hear the bell. I worked at Norwich Union, and of course the men who were 40, they could all remember the Nest long before me. And one of our chaps, he had one of these houses here.
Right.
And the joke used to be that they'll do anything to earn a shilling, they will, you know. So I said, why? What do you mean? When Norwich City got a home game, if people want to go in the back room, they stand them on a chamber pot and watch the match for a shilling.
And if Norwich played badly, they threw all the cushions out, because they used to pay threepence to sit on a cushion because they were long wooden seats.
Right.
Went right along, you know. And they used to vent their anger, and they caused a lot of trouble in those days because soon as the matches were over, if they lost and they thought they'd played badly, they'd whirl all these cushions out onto the pitch.
Right.
Of course, February 35, they drew Sheffield Wednesday.
Yes.
Well, we'd never seen First Division football. I got there at 10 o'clock into the ground.
Yeah.
It would never have been allowed to have been started today. 1935's a long while ago. They packed 25,000 and I think 81 into the ground.
Seen pictures of
which
that.
of course, consternation all round the ground. And
Which part were you in?
I was in what they call the Rosary Road end.
Yeah.
And I can remember the railings, it seemed to be wooden railings, they broke and we all converged onto the pitch. Norwich City 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Ellis Rimmer scored the goal, the outside left for Sheffield Wednesday, and anyone who was there will all agree with me, he was the luckiest man who ever played that day. The ball went in off his knee.
Really?
Yeah. And they lost 1-0. So that, of course, occasioned the Football Association to tell Norwich City within a few weeks that a ground such as the Nest could not be allowed to hold matches with large crowds of 25,000.
Yeah. So was everybody pleased when the team moved to Carrow Road? Did you think it was going to be much better there?
Yeah, because that was a bigger ground than that, because the first match we ever played at Carrow Road was against West Ham, and Lockie played then, and one of our players broke his jaw, so you know that's a rough match. Yeah, I think it was about 30,000, yeah. We never dreamed that we'd be playing football at Norwich City, be playing football at Carrow Road when we were at the Nest.
No.
Never entered our heads, see. And yet we used to push and be squashed, getting in the turnstiles even when there was only 20,000 at the Nest. I don't think we ever thought they'd ever move from the Nest, you know, not in those days. Well, we never thought we'd be high enough to warrant a new ground. No, if we hadn't won the league in the 30s, we would probably never come as high as we are now.